What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Built by Getroman, a channel dedicated to guiding code newbies on how to become a software engineer via motivational coding. Today is Two Num Sum Part 4, and we're going to focus and pick up actually where we left off with the actual pseudocode in our last video. And today I want to focus on completing the pseudocode, getting into the actual syntax, and writing out a solution, then test that solution, and then jump into the optimization piece of that coding challenges to identify the time complexity analysis, or at least attempt to. All that coming right up. Don't go anywhere. Let's get it. All right, guys. So I want to spend some time actually getting into the kind of recap or refresh our memory about our minds about where we left off as far as the pseudocode. It's been a week since I've actually touched this code, and a lot has happened during that week. I went through a couple interviews and had a couple phone calls as far as like potential employers. Some didn't pan out, some I'm waiting for. So hopefully there's some traction there, we'll see. But in the midst of all that, I need to kind of refresh my mind as to like where I left off in the pseudocode. So I want to spend some time doing that as well. All right. Also, let me know if the music is too loud in the background. I kind of turned it up a little bit. Music gets me going, and when I code, I like to have some good music in the background. So I just hope it's not interfering with the sound. So let me know what you guys think there. All right, I'm gonna hide this timer for now. We're not gonna use this at this very minute. We will put that back on once I get into the Pomodoros. So cool. Shout out to my son Elijah, who's watching live. He's actually in my chat right now. Go watch his stream. Getroman Gamer. He's actually a really great gamer, has a lot of perspective on the game Fortnite and other games as well. So check him out. He's in the chat. Give him a follow. All right. So what we have in front of us basically is the pseudocode. Let me make sure I'm not in the way as far as the image. And hopefully you can see that. So I want to spend some time kind of reviewing the prompt again, just to kind of refresh my memory. So two number sum we solved once. For those who have not seen that part, we did come up with a solution here that required us to have two for loops, and this one, I believe the time complexity was log of n squared, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. When n being n representing the input size of the array coming in, so we have a linear approach times 2, because it's two, we're looping twice. All right, but that was the first solution. The second solution, I wanted to use an object to try to like make with the idea of optimization, right? That's what we left off before. We wanted to optimize our first solution in order to get a time complexity that's a bit faster, right? As far as like the runtime is concerned. The space, I'm still a little wonky on that. I'm trying to understand that a little more, but as we grow, I'll get better at it. And I'm leaning on you guys to kind of help me with that as well. Cool. So cool. So the two number sum is asking us to write a function that takes a non-empty array of distinct integers, and integers, actually we're looking here, guys. So just so you know, let me just draw a little box over it so you can focus. So this is where we're at, okay, over here. So write a function that takes a non-empty array of distinct integers and an integer representing our target sum. If any two numbers in the array input sum up to the target sum, the function return them in the array. So basically, any two numbers that add up to that target sum that's provided to us over here. What is the shortcut for this, right? So we're talking about this one, this target sum, two numbers that add up in the array, right? We're given an array. Let's just say here, we have an array of 3 and 6 and 8, right? So, for example, if let's say target sum is 9, then we need to find a pair here that can equal to 9. So basically, the first two numbers are going to equal to 9. You know, that's a quick kind of example of what it's asking for, right? So imagine that this array grows and we have all these arbitrary numbers. We're supposed to like handle this array in a way where we're going to find pairs that's going to equal to 9. So the first pair that equals to 9, we're going to return that in an array itself. Okay, so that's what it's basically asking us to do. We did that once, okay, and we did that in the form of using two loops. So now I wanted to kind of redo that using an object with the attempt to get the time complexity down. Okay, and I wanted that to get down to, I don't know, like I guess I got to solve it first to figure out the time complexity of that, if there's any difference. I'm not sure yet, so we'll see. All right, so let's go to the scratch pad here. This is the first pseudocode that we wrote. Now we're getting to the second here. So what I wanted to do, which is over here, guys, right? So this pseudocode was derived from the mess of notes that I wrote last week, which was this here, what you see in front of you. And it's a lot of like scribble and scrabble of notes, but that's the process that I go through to like try to decipher what's being asked of me. So I want to kind of get back into this part and just kind of refresh my mind. And once I get an understanding, then we'll get into an actual Pomodoro and do deep focus on the pseudocode part and finish that up and get into the actual syntax to write a solution, right? So I recall from last week, and let me actually turn off my do not disturb there. Sorry about that. Something happened with CNN. Ooh, hey, whatever. So I recall us ending up with 3 steps. And in this mess of notes, I recall us doing some sort of loop. I gotta recall the shortcuts here. Let me see if I remember the shortcuts to this. References. Sorry guys, I'm gonna just see so I could get my shortcuts in place. Do they have the keyboard? Okay, here we go. So how do you do toggle? First favorite color, whiteboard. Whatever. I get it. This is a new thing I'm using here where I can draw and stuff. But anyway, so we have the loop happening first, then some math, which I think it was this part over here, right? Something about taking the target sum and subtracting the current element we are iterating over, and out of that get the result of that and store it in the object to keep track of it, to say, is this equal to the target sum, something along those lines. And that was actually this part here. How do I delete that? There we go. Right, that was the object storage. All right, so that's kind of the 3 steps I recall going through. Let me see if I'm missing anything here. Wow, what a mess. This is one of the issues of like putting something down and getting back into it. Like putting a piece of code down while you haven't finished the actual thought process. It's kind of hard to pick back up where you left off. I compared that to actual like a use case of getting into some legacy code. You work for a company and you get into a company and you're given this like code base that's old, and you have to kind of decipher and work your way through to figure out what's what. So I equate that to this process, very similar to that, where like you have a bunch of spaghetti notes, spaghetti code, and you have to kind of figure that out and decipher what's happening. Okay, so let me just stop here. I'm in this here, so like there's a loop, there's an input happening here. Okay, I loop through the input, I do a little math here. What was this part about? 5 minus 1. I was trying to figure out a pattern. If I recall correctly, here I was trying to figure out a pattern where I took the target sum of 5, and then I did some math to it, right? I basically subtracted target sum, right, against all of the values in the array as I iterate them, right? And then I recall saying something along the lines of like taking the result of that like math that I'm doing and do something. What am I doing with that? What do I have here? I have this 4. What is this pointing to? 4 and 1. 5 minus 4 is 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. What's the pattern here? So I'm thinking here in this box, how do I get to? Is it a rectangle? Oh, there we go. Okay. So this box here, I want to do something and try to remember exactly what I did here. 3 plus 2 is 5. I don't see the connection though. I feel like I was going somewhere with this, but I couldn't really, like, it didn't make any. Now that I'm looking again back at this with fresh eyes, I'm not seeing, it's not hitting me yet as to what direction I was going with this. So I know the 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. And then when I added these two, I got some result here, which is 5, which is the target sum. Okay, target sum, but how do I even like keep track of that? All right, let me go to pseudocode. Let me just peek at the pseudocode and see where I was going with this. All right. So I said, actually, wait, before I get there, I want to look at this one more time. Let me give this one more shot. So I did a loop, some math, and some object storage as I go to each of the elements in the array. Was I saying something along those lines of let me put some more effort into these notes. Try to pick up where I left off here. The loop, the tracker that's doing the math result plus object.value. I guess I was trying to do something here. All right, well, let's just kind of redo it a little bit. So I know I'm at the C part of it. So I'm wondering, I was saying something along the lines of a loop, some math. Let's just rewrite that here. So I did a loop. The math being what exactly? And I think that's the target sum minus the value. So just say, yeah, the value minus target sum. Right? Okay. And then some object, using an object as storage. Target sum minus value. All right. I guess let's redo this. So let's say, what array was I using? Oh, let's just come up with one. All right. So let's say, I think I wanted to do, you know, a small sandbox test on this in the other video, but I didn't kind of get to it. So I wanted to get, let's just say let's define the array and then work from there. So we have, I don't know, number 2, 3. No, hold up. Yeah, 3. Why not? Actually, let's use a different number here. 2, 1, 5, and 3. And we want target sum. Is going to be 5. So pretty like straightforward example, right? So I wanted to loop through this, right? So I'm going to, let's just say this is so I loop through this array. To spread this out, 5, 3. Oh yes, I wanted to not use a second loop. That's what it was. I wanted to cut down to one loop, because I'm thinking now that I get to this part, is like, all right, I have the first loop. In the past video, I had the first loop and I had a pointer here. Then I had a pointer in the second spot, or at the end here. I forget exactly how I did it, and then I would like basically take the first loop, track the first element in the array, and then apply that against the other elements in the array as I have that inner loop running and doing some math. So the whole objective here was to like not use a second loop, get away from what was it? The time complexity of big O of n squared and move to like just n, O of n at best. Right? So, and that's why I wanted to use an object. I wanted to use an object to store something, store the math, store the comparison, something like that, and decrease the time complexity, but possibly increase the space complexity, which I need to still wrap my head around how that works when you add some data structures to the picture. So I'm adding an object here. So I'll be looping through this, right? I'll loop through this, then I'll start here. Start here, so we have the number 2 as the value. This is not the index. So let's just actually erase that because that looks confusing to me. That's just the value. I'm just leave it as like, okay, we have number 2 here. Then I want to do some math to it and store that somewhere. I believe I wrote that in the pseudocode. So we're gonna take the value or target sum. Let's do that under here. And let's bring this up a little bit. Give me some space. Okay. So it was target sum. So I'm just say TS, type of squad, TS target sum, 5 minus 2, right? Do some math, store it. The result is 3, and we had to like store that here in the variable, right? So we get 3. And where does the object come in? That's the part I think where I left off. And I was going down a road which I was playing with the results of the math and comparing the results to storing the results of the equation of the target sum minus the value, and storing that in the object, and like using all the results and comparing them to each other, and they equal out to the target sum. Somehow I was thinking about like using that as the answer and identifying the pair, which for me now looking at it, it's like confusing to me. It wasn't as clear as I thought it would be. So I know like if I'm doing some math here, I'm gonna use an object to store it somehow, right? So what am I storing? Interesting. So this is the part where I got kind of stuck. And so I need to basically, let's just say that we'll call the object number. I'm bad at naming things. Number, or just num for short, right? And we'll say actually, let's go to the math. Let's see if I hit an actual 5 in order to, let's just say that I want to get 5 here in order to like get to this next step, because this is not clear to me yet. Okay. All right, so 5 minus 2 is 3. Let's go to the next one. 5 minus 1 is equal to 4, sorry. 5 minus 5, 0. And then we're here now. We're gonna say 5 minus 3 is 2. None of these numbers equal to the potential to the number, to the actual target sum. So why would I need to store this? Guys, what am I missing here? For those who are watching, if anyone's watching, I'm missing something. I feel like I have it. It's not hitting me yet. And I know I want to like use this somehow in order to identify the match. So target sum minus the value. I'm getting the results. None of these numbers are actually I move on to the next index. Is that what I do? Okay, hold up. So I'm at 2. I'm here now. So I'm wondering if, well, it's the same thing. If I move the pointer to 1 and I apply math, some math to it, where I'm taking target sum 5 minus it, that'll never equal out to target sum. Am I doing this right? If I move the pointer here, right? And let's just say I'll do 5 minus 1 equals 4. Like, I feel like I'll never add up. I'll never get to the target sum because I'm subtracting those two numbers, right? So let's just say 5 minus 1. I'm getting the actual, I'm doing the same thing I did. Oh, I did that already. 5 minus 5 is 0. 5 minus 3 is 2, which is very similar to this when I was actually at this, when the pointer was on the 0 index, when I was referencing 2. 5 minus 2, 5 minus 1. So I was getting these results, which is very similar to these, and I'm not really getting to target sum. The math is not adding up to where, like, I would say these two numbers would equal out to target sum. So maybe change it from subtraction to addition. I mean, is it that simple? Is it that simple? If I were to do, let's try it. All right, so let's clear this. How do I clear this? All right, here we go. And text. All right. So if I were to do, if I were to change the math around, but why would I use? How would I? Then do I need an object for that? I do, because I'm not using 2 pointers. I need to store it. Let me think about this. My son says the JavaScript. That's funny. All right, well, I'll tell you what. I didn't start the timer, but I'm gonna take my first Pomodoro break. This is, again, the recap part. This is me trying to get an understanding where I left off. So this is the kind of recap, the understanding phase of this. All right, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute break to refresh my mind, take a water break, and stretch. All right, guys, so be right back and enjoy your break. All right, guys, back from break here. So let's dive back into this. Where was I? So, wanted to continue with where I left off, and basically, I was trying to figure out how to find a pattern here. So we're going to use one of the competition of thinking steps and try to find a pattern recognition. So I'm gonna like just use decomposition and kind of break this down a little more and try to find a pattern. And I think that's where I left off the last time, up here, where I was trying to figure this thing out here, this whole mess, right? So I spent some time during the break trying to like understand where I left off with this, to like figure out the why I came to say, like, I came to a point where I said the results of the additions here, of the subtractions, somehow there were some patterns that I could use to identify those pairs, right? So 5 minus 2, 5 minus 3. So that led me to, this part, which I'm trying to repeat the same thing, all right? Repeat the same process and just try to understand it from a point where I can like get to the pseudocode. And I don't want to touch the pseudocode yet until like I try to like understand this part. And I was kind of going somewhere previously, so I'm babbling. All right, let me stop. Let's just go through the process here. So imagine, let me just write out this object here. And I know I want to use this to store something, right? Can you see that? You can. All right. Boom. Boom. So I go through the first number, 2, and let's just start storing stuff, I guess. I'm gonna imagine that it'll hit me soon, right? So 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 is not the same as 5, which is the match that I want to make, right? So if I take this 3, let me think. If 3 is 3 inside the object, right now we have nothing in here. I'm gonna say no. So that is gonna be inserted into here as the key. And what value am I gonna give this? I'll just say true. I feel like it should be false, but right. Move on to the next one. Let's erase that. Okay. Oh, this thing is not picking up. All right. Next, we get 5 minus 1. There you go. Let me erase this. Technology. But whatever. It's not erasing. 5 minus 4, 5 minus 1 is 4, is 4, is 4 inside this object? No, it's not. Therefore, now do I put the result, or do I don't need the result in here, so I want to put the actual number, the 3 and the 2, because that's the thing I need. That's the number I need to find the pair, because the pair I'm looking for is 2 and 5. This is the pair that I need. So I need to track those, not the results. I use the results as a way to like compare, but I don't think I need to store the results. So I'm gonna say, let me erase that. That worked. All right. So I'm gonna say, for the first one, it was 2. Now I'm here at number 1. Is 4 inside of 2. I mean, it's 4 inside this object. It's not. It's not. So I'm gonna go ahead and erase this so it doesn't look too messy, and say 1. Let's put the 1 inside of the object. And erase that comma there. Let's put these and say that is true, and move on to the next one. Let's go here. Actually, let's move this out the way. Boom. All right. So we got 0. Is 0 inside this object? No, it's not. It's not. So therefore I push or add the num that I'm working with. I need to know how to get the shortcuts here. So I'm gonna take the number that I'm working with, because I don't need the result to, I don't need to check the result. I need to track the numbers, because that's these two numbers that I need to like eventually come across to say that they're a pair. All right, so I'm going to push the number 5 inside of here, this object. Keep doing that. 5. Okay. Running out of space, but I'll leave it at that. Okay. Move on to the next one. So let's go back and say here, 5 minus 3 equals 2. Is 2 inside of this object? And it is here. It is. Now what? It's in here. Oh, hopefully I didn't lose my let's see. Oh, cool. All right. It's inside. So if I were to push, so it is. So now what? This is the pair that I need. Well, these are the numbers that I need. No, I need 5 and 2. So the number does exist inside. Why am I comparing the result to this, then what happens if where am I going with this? I need to say that the number 2 the result of this equation is inside this object. I'm not seeing it. So I'm going to, something's happening here for me. So I'm going to deconstruct that. I'm going to focus on this here a little more. Now that that number is matched up, I know I need the num, this thing here, to say something. That's the number I'm going to push in there. If there's a match, which there is, this result is the same as the number that I used in the first iteration, the first piece of math that I did on the number 2 in the array. The only thing that adds up to me is that these 2 numbers is the pair that I need. And that's kind of like the roadblock I hit in my other approach. But like, do I return those 2 numbers? Because those 2 are the pair that I need, right? 5 and 2 is the pair that I need. So if the result of 2 matches, which it does that give me the result? I mean, is that the key identifier right there that I'm matching? I'm going through each of these elements in the array, right? Boom, boom, and I'm storing the results if there's no match into these arrays, into these objects, excuse me, into the object, and I'm storing the result. Right? But at the point that there's a match from the result compared to one of the keys in the object, when there's a match, is that the signal to me to say, all right, there's a pair somewhere here. There's a pair. So I need to kind of dive deeper into this part. Okay. Let's do that. I'm not tracking 5, so I don't care about that. I am tracking 3 because that is the number in the array that I'm using. And I'm saying the target sum minus the num, right? And then I'm getting the result of 2, which I'm looking at, I'm evaluating as a means to say, hey, is this result exists in this object? If it doesn't exist in the object, then take the number, right? And then push all those numbers into this object. And as I keep going, I compare the results to the things in the object, to the keys in the object. Thinking out loud here. If there's a match, let me backtrack here. If there's a match, which there is here, then look closer at the actual numbers that I'm using, which is the 3 and the 2. That stands out to me because that's the actual pair that I need. That's, 3 plus 2 is 5. That's the pair. So is that it? That's the pair. That's the, do I return what is this then? This is, I'm storing this. Am I storing this? I'm saying that this is the result. Return the result and the number I'm iterating over as the match. That could be it. I'm gonna try that. I can't think of anything else. So I'm using the object as a means to store the results so I can compare it, right? Versus using 2 loops. Using 2 loops to do comparisons, which increases the time complexity to log event squared. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now I'm gonna be bringing it to a more efficient solution where I'm now using log of n, which is 1 loop linear, which n is the size of the input array, and using an object to store and use it as like a indicator where I can compare and store results. So that increases the space complexity, I think. Anyway, so I'm gonna take another break and then we're gonna jump into the pseudocode and evaluate what I wrote before in the past and compare it to what I just said now, and see if I was on point or if my thought process has changed from the last week's pseudocode that I wrote. All right, so don't go too far. Enjoy your 5-minute break and I'll see you in a couple minutes. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm back. Um, so we left off in the actual like approach of this part, and we wanted to kind of understand where I left off. So now I kind of want to focus on the pseudocode and compare that to the the notes that I made here as far as like the recap of last week's video, which took a while. So hey, it is what it is. So let's get into pseudocode and let's kind of compare last week's pseudocode to what I have here and kind of take next steps from there. So let's do it. All right. So here, let me go here to pseudocode. All right. So here's the solution number 2, the pseudocode that I wrote. And basically I was saying that, actually, let me set my timer here. I don't want to do that now. I do have it. All right, so let's set the 25 minutes here. Kind of keep track of what's going on. All right, so I create a for loop. I'm saying I created a for loop that will loop through the array, which is very comparable to the step 1. The steps that I had was loop, some math, store, and an object. That's the 3 steps that we identified, right? Then I want to grab, let's do here. So loop through the array, grab an element and store it in the variable. Not yet. Here I have it as step 3, so I need to change this a little bit. Grab the target sum, which I have, yes, as a variable. Oh yeah, so I have the, oh, here's the math. Okay, there's the math. So I was kind of in line with what I did last week up to this point. So create a variable result and store the math, target sum minus value, get results from, damn, very specific here. Step 3.1. Okay, just this one here. Okay, add it to the object. Not quite, right? Not yet. Add it to the object. So I need to do some logic, some comparisons to say if, let me go back here. Hopefully that doesn't mess up. I need to say, it's still, okay, it's intact. So I need to say, as I'm going through these numbers, do some logic here in this part that says, use the math before I get to the object. So in between this step here, let me write this down. Does that work? Yeah. So I need to come up with some logic that says if the result, which is 3, does not exist in the object, then push it to the object, move to the next one. If the result, which is 4, if that is not in the object, then push it to the object. If it is, then we have a potential pair. All right, so I need to fix this a little bit here. Let's just recap what I was doing before. So step 5.0. So this is from last week. Create a variable called tracker that stores the result. Oh, plus equals, wait, why plus equals object.value? So it's very close to saying the same thing I did. So this part is very reminiscent of what I was alluding to as far as doing the math of like when I said 5 minus 2 equals 3, and I was saying like in the notes that I wanted to put that in an object. I wanted to store, how do I do this? There we go. I wanted to store the number, but not the result. Here I'm saying create a variable called tracker that stores the result, which is this bad boy, plus equal the object value. Yeah, that doesn't add up to me, because that was actually I remember now. That is this part I was trying to decipher, make sense of, which was here. This part. I remember now. I was trying to make sense of like taking the result and adding that to this and making some. That was my pattern recognition thought process there. I was trying to do something there, but at this point, it's not really making any sense to me. So let's continue. Step 5.1. I got 20 minutes left here. Add a property, K index and V result, and then do a check. Add a check for the length of the properties equals 2. Yeah, if the tracker, yeah, this is not adding up. If the tracker is equal to target sum, then return object.values. If the tracker, wait, this is if the tracker that I'm setting up somewhere up here. What's the tracker? Oh, here we go. This tracker that's storing the result and the value, but that's gonna break because I have no value there, which I didn't account for. I didn't write any logic that says in this pseudocode, in this thought process, I didn't account for like to say if there's nothing in the object, what do? I just push the first result in there. So I'm gonna rewrite this, right? I'm gonna scrap some of this stuff. I'm gonna leave this actually, and let's just say solution to version 2. Okay. So you don't see it in front of me. I'm looking at my notes actually. So here's hard to see. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is actually what you see on this screen. All right, same deal. So I'm gonna reference this note. I'm just not gonna switch the screens to and from, and rewrite some of this pseudocode. Right. So what I want to do is step 1. I wanted to I have the loop first, but I'm gonna say the storage should come first, the object, right? Because as I'm looping through all of the elements, I need to push that to an object, so that should live outside of the scope of the loop, like live on top if I'm referencing it, right? So I'm gonna say create an object called, and I'm storing, what am I storing? Let's push this out of here. Create an object. I'm calling the object. What am I saving it again? The nums. I'm saving the elements, the numbers, the results, not the results. I'm saving the number in the array. I'm saving, let me just make a note here. I'm saving, I had 2, 1, 5, and 3. I'm saving these. Right, so these are the numbers in the array. I'm just gonna call it number. Okay. So create an object called number. Right, so it's gonna look like this. It's gonna be an empty object. And now I need to loop through the array. So loop through the array 2.1. So I'm gonna grab I usually grab the element that I am working on, like I'm iterating over. Should I do that here for readability purposes? I'll just write it down. If I need to do it, I'll do it. So grab the number. Grab the number currently iterating on over. Okay. So I'll grab that. So I have loop. Go back here. I have loop and then math. So this is the variable actually. So I need to use that as the variable. So I don't really need to store the number. You know, I could store the number so I can, like, for readability purposes, I could do that and then like reuse it in this math variable. I'm just gonna do it in one shot just to get it going on this. So I'm going to say inside the loop grab the number currently iterating on and do math. Do math now. And the math I'm doing is what again? I'm saying target sum minus value. So let's just say, let's call this 2.1.0. My numbers are weird. 2.1.0. So I'm gonna say let match is gonna equal target sum minus L value. All right, target sum minus value. All right, is my mic working? It is. All right. All right, now what? I gotta do a comparison, some logic. So I'm gonna say 2.2. Now that I did the math, I'm gonna say, what did I say here? I went through it earlier. I said it out loud, but I didn't write it down. So I said if, so the object is empty at this very minute. I need to say if the object, if there's a match, if the result of this is in the object, then push it in, otherwise store it in the object. So I'm gonna say here, so should I sub this? I'll just write logic here. 0.20. Disregard my numbers here, man. This is like me trying to be creative, making it more difficult than it needs to be, but that's me. I'm going to say if the match it lives in the object, if it's in the object, let me go back. I have to go back. Let's just say we're here. If it's in the object, it can't. I'm thinking about. Oh no, never mind. At this point, there are some numbers that should be living in the object, right? If the number if the result of this one here, if the 5 minus 3 lives in the object, then return the result and the num. That's what I was saying. Okay. So if the match lives in the object, return the match, right? The number and the number I'm actually iterating over. Where's the map? Where's the for loop at? Oh, this is where I kind of need that number then. So this answers my question about the variable. Grab the number currently iterating on. So I'm gonna say this is gonna be let current num. We'll just grab it. Equals the value. Like whatever value I'm iterating over at that time. So here I'm gonna say target sum is current num. So if there's a match, I return the result of the match and the current num that I'm iterating over at that very minute, at that stage of the loop. Right? Is that what I said here? Return this. If 2 exists here, then we said that there's a match. So I want to return 3 and 2. So I'm returning the match, which is this number, and the current number that I'm iterating over at that minute, which is 3 and 2, which is the pair we need. I'm deleting these numbers. It's confusing. All right, this stays. Oh, here's the logic. Okay. If the match lives in the object, because we identified that in here, there's a pattern of some sort that says these two numbers are the two matching numbers that is going to equal to 5. All right. If it is, we return that match. Otherwise, what do we say? We push it to the object. We're gonna say, how do I do that? I forgot. I want to push the. So I want to add the matched number. What should I call this? Let's call it match, I guess. Possible match. Possible match. Let's call that possible match. All right, guys. I think we're pushing through this. 6 minutes left. If the possible match lives in the object, return possible match and the current number, right? Yes. Otherwise, add the possible match into the object. Is that add a good word or whatever? You get it. Add possible match into object. Possible match as the key. Add Boolean value of true as the value. Add the Boolean true as the value, right? So we keep doing that. If the match lives in the object, then we have a match. Otherwise, add that possible match as a key and the Boolean true as the value. Right? And what do they want if there's nothing found? So if there's no match, what happens? Let's see. If any two numbers in the input array sum up to the target sum, the function should return them in an array in any order. So I don't need to sort the return array, which I didn't even think about initially. If no two numbers sum up to the target sum, the function return an empty array. Okay. Let's see here. So I got 4 minutes. This time. I'm gonna say that's another step. That's outside the loop. So I'm gonna just put that over here. Let's just say that's step 3. If no match is found, return an empty array. So I'm just gonna say that over here, return empty array. All right. So I have the loop. Why I feel like this is not gonna work. But we're gonna try it. I'm gonna code it out and see. I think I've spent enough time. I spent an hour and 30 minutes talking about this, trying to figure out, picking up where I left off, and now trying to like implement some pseudocode. And I think I should just start testing this. But I got 3 minutes before I hit this break and go into the next phase, which is the actual coding part of it. So we'll just do that. So I just want to make sure I'm covering everything here. So identified the pattern. So I got the loop going on here. I did the math part. I'm storing it. All right. I got some logic. So this part is covered. This part is covered. The logic I just figured out. The object I put in the wrong place on the paper, but I moved it to the top. Just because if I'm referencing that in the logic, I need to kind of put that on top because the way JavaScript runs from top to bottom, I'll be referencing, if I had it at the bottom, I'll be referencing something that doesn't exist. Just because like execution context, the way functions in local scope run inside of a function. So that's why on paper I have it at the bottom here, but I moved it to the top in that actual pseudocode. Okay. That seems about right. I'm gonna call this one early. There's 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute break, and then when we get back, I will start like actually coding this thing out. So actually, I'm gonna take these 2 minutes to say like as you can see, the time I take to like try to like get even close to understanding a coding challenges, I take a long time. But I think with time and practice, I'll get a little bit more snappier with my thought process and like start seeing things over and over through repetition. And then I'll start like kind of recognizing the direction I need to go and get there a little bit faster. But I think just in general, this is a practical approach for anybody who's actually, you know, doing these things, these coding challenges or building full stack applications, that this stuff takes a bit to understand and and like, you know, try. It takes a bit to understand, and it takes time to get through a solution. All right, we're human, and being under pressure and time and being in front of the camera on top of that is, it's a little bit hard to do. So yeah, for those who are still with me, thank you. And we'll go ahead and take that break now, and I'll see you in 5 minutes. So enjoy your break. All right, guys. So we're back. Let's get into this pseudocode. Actually, let's get into the actual coding part of it. So I have a sense of what should happen based off the approach that we're taking in this one. So it is an iterative approach. We are looping through it. We are using an object. We have some logic involved, and now I want to, I wrote it out on some pseudocode, which is somewhat the same, but there's some differences in the first approach I took last week as far as the pseudocode is concerned. Now I want to actually write this thing out into actual syntax code and then test it. All right, so let's do that here. Do not edit this line below. Okay. Why is there a bracket missing? My first solution. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so I need to create an object. So I'm gonna say const or let. So constant let, I forget. I know what there are. Const is immutable, but I know with the object, that funkiness with the object, you can actually mutate using const because you can actually mutate the properties even though you have a const. So that's kind of like the back door. I remember that. So is there a difference between using const and less when using objects? Because you can actually mutate the object if you use const anyway by going through like just referencing the properties. So I'm gonna use const. And I'm calling this what did I say? Number. Okay. Number. Let me open this up a little bit. Actually. All right. Loop through the array. So this is for of. If I'm doing it, I recall this by it's like article I wrote about how which one I use for in or for of. I remember seeing for in. The word in always reminded me about using that for an object because I need to go in the object. The for of is just kind of like using a loop for an array, just referencing, just going through the elements of the array. So I'm gonna use of. What am I calling this? Oh, did I set the timer? Ooh, I forgot. 25 minutes. There we go. So what did I say this is gonna be? Grab the number currently iterating. Current num. Can I just do that there instead? Do I need to create another variable? If I could just get it here. I'm gonna do that. Current num of array. And I want to log this out just to make sure that this thing is actually printing. You see that? I hope this is big enough to see. Current num. Run code. Is there? Oh, your test, your code failed at least one test case. All right, let's just close this up. Do I get a log? There we go. Awesome. Oh, I feel like last week they changed some of this. And I couldn't see, but it's undefined. Your code output. Okay. 11 minus 1. Test case 2. 4, 6. Our code. Your code. Undefined. I just want to log out this thing. I want to make sure that I'm actually getting the array. All right, so for example, the array is this. And in this loop, I want to loop through the let current num of array. And I want to log out current num. I just want to make sure that I'm logging out the array itself. I'm not seeing that. So I'm going to remove myself from this environment and try to replicate that in the console. Because I don't know why it's not printing out. So I'm going to do this. Get myself in the console here and create an array in the console. All right, let's do that. Boom. Now I want to loop through it. So I'm just going to copy this. Right. And I'm going to say this is array. And I should get. All right. Yeah, it's printing. So I'm getting the numbers. Oh, wait, you guys can't see that. Sorry. Let's remove myself. iPhone SE. Bingo. All right, there you go. So basically what I did was, let me make this bigger. I created a small sandbox in the console because I wasn't seeing that in the test. I saw it's a little funny for me sometimes to work with these things because like I'm just logging something out. I just want to see the result. I want to make sure I'm looping through this array. So I am. This proves to me that. So I have this array and I'm using the same for loop. Right, the same for loop that I'm using here. It's the same one, and I'm getting the results that I'm looking for. Right, so I'm looking at it's looping through the array. So that's working. For whatever reason, it's not printing out in the test. Oh, raw output. Oh, yes, it is. Oh my God, it's right here. Oh, I forgot about the raw output. So that's okay. Test case, current num. All right, it's working. All right, let's move on. So it is printing. I'm gonna close that. Let's move on. So I want to say, I'm gonna skip this part. If I need to create the variable, I will. Okay. Let me add myself back to the picture. There you go. I'm back. I'm going to do the math. Let possible match inside the loop, right? Okay. So I'm going to say let possible match equal. Oh, it's right here. Target sum minus. How much time do I have? 19 minutes. Current num. Let me log that out. I like to log out everything. All right, so let's say possible match. I want to log this part out and just see what I'm getting as a result. So I know that's working. Possible match. Let me just make an indicator here. And let's run the code. Possible match current num 3. 5 minus. Wait, what's happening here? Target sum. Oh, why am I getting? Oh, -4. Okay. Do I need to account for negative numbers? Do I have to like turn them into like whole integers, like positive numbers? I didn't even think about that. I'll deal with that later. If it calls for it, then I'll do it. Current num is 3. Okay, that's this line. Okay, so that's this line here, and then possible match goes here. So at this point, the target sum is what? Oh, I don't know. I haven't. I need to. What's the target sum for the first number? 10. Okay. Okay. Well, it's printing out. It's doing the math. So 10. Test case 1. So test case 1. Let me confirm here. Test case 1. I got an array of these numbers. So 3, 5, minus 4, which is, yep, 3, 5, minus 4. And target sum is 10. So for the possible match, 10. Target sum. Oh, that was weird. I caught a bug. I put target sum equals current. I'm like, why am I getting 3? I should get 8. All right. That was my issue. I was confused there. So I had equals instead of doing some math. All right, so let's run the code again. Yes, so the current number is 3. The target num is 10, so 10 minus 3 is 7. Okay, that looks a little better. That was confusing. All right, so I caught a bug. Let's move on. All right, what's next? El Lógico, the logic. Where am I here? 1 hour and 48. I want to speed this up here. So if I said if the possible match how do I do that? How do I say if the possible match is inside this object? I'll have to look that up. I think I need to look that up. I remember doing something a while ago in the coding challenge where it seemed really easy, like something, if the possible match is inside this. Let me look it up. All right, so I'm gonna say, how do I ask this? How do I ask this? I'm gonna ask this question, guys. Oops, how am I typing? How to search for a key in an object. Am I saying if? Let's just see what comes up. Which is the right thing to do? If my object, blow this up a little bit, define, or if my object key, or if this one. Try JavaScript in operator. If key in, oh yeah, in. If, and the inverse. Oh, is that simple? So the in, is that like a, I need to look at that. Is that like a built-in for loop that does the thing for me to match everything, to match the key to what I'm looking for? Be careful, the in operator matches all object keys. Okay. including those in the object's prototype chain. Use my object has own property key to check an object's own keys and will only return true if the key is available on my object directly. Unless you have a specific reason to use in operator, using my object dot has own property key produces the results most code is looking for. Oh, okay. I remember seeing that when I first started to like mess with objects. I want to try the in, and then I want to try this if I need to afterwards, because this just looks way much like cleaner and nicer. All right, so if the key, which is, oh, what's this here? The in operator returns true. Okay, it's the same definition. So here's an example. If make in car, if make, which is what, is equal to false. Oh, if the value is equal to false, then car dot make is Suzuki. Okay. So if possible match in number, that looks much easier than has own, what was it? Has own property. I use that very few times. Okay. 11 minutes. Return this. All right, so I'm just gonna return. So in the instance that there's something, there's a match, I'm gonna return possible match and current num. Otherwise, add possible match as a key. That I forgot how to do. So I need to look that up. But what I want to do is, I know I got to reference the object. Is it number equals sheesh? I gotta look this up. How? I forgot how to do that. I'm drawing a blank. It's okay. That's what Google's for. How to add key value pairs to an object JavaScript. Okay. Can you guys see that? Let me blow this up. There you go. All right, here's my object literal. How can I add a field key with value 3? There are two ways to add new properties to an object using dot notation. That's right, dot notation. I forgot about dot notation. I didn't forget. It's just, I'm not in the business of remembering syntax. I've never been. I like to increase problem solving skills first, then, because that's going to lead me to the syntax. Because at this point, Google has so much documentation that you don't really need to remember every piece of syntax. You just got to learn how to ask the question. And that's where I'm at. I rely on Google to help me. But anyway, so object.key, that sounds key 3. Well, I don't know. So I can't, but why? So this is kind of like, do I want to use dot notation? I remember, no, because I'm saying each of the keys, if I were to add more than one of that, and if I use object dot, if I were to use object dot, I'm storing the possible match, then each one of those would be hard-coded as possible match. Like the word possible match would be the key for each of those. I don't want that. I want the value passed in, like a reference to the value. So I remember that being, is it this one? I think it's the bracket is the way I want to go. Year 2017 answer, object out of sign. Why? Well, I can't use it now. It overwrites dest with properties and values of however many source objects, then returns. What is dest? Dest. Okay, I'm gonna stay away from that for now. I'm gonna use bracket. But what am I? All right, let's see. I have number here, which is the reference to the object. And I'm passing in, what do we have here? The key that I want. Do I need to put that in strings? The numbers, so I'm gonna say no. Possible match. I'm gonna do this and then I'll try the bracket notation, which I think ends up being the same. So my theory is wrong, I guess. So I'm saying that's gonna be the value of true. So if the possible match lives in the object, return it. If the possible match in the number in the object. Wow, like the wording is like the same. I'm just realizing that. It's like almost translating this into English. If the possible match lives in the object, which is, I'm calling it number. The word in is in my sentence. That's wild. Return possible match. Possible match was the result of the equation of adding the two things together and the current num that I'm going through. If it's not in there, if I have an empty object, which will be the first time, I'm gonna immediately push that number in there because it's empty. But after that, if there's no match, it continues to add it to there, right? And then, so I'm out here. So this is step 3, which now I need to jump out of the for loop, which ends where's my indicators? There, I like these things, these boxes. I have 5 minutes. All right, boom. So I need to go out of here. If no match is found, return an empty array. I wonder if, so number is the object and I'm passing in a key, which is the possible match. If I were to use dot notation, I feel like it's almost like hard coding the key to be the same one over and over again. But since I'm using bracket notation, it's like passing it by reference. I forget. I need to look that up again. All right, so we have the code. Let me what time? 4 minutes. I'm gonna just review this one more time and I'm gonna run it. And then I'm gonna actually get into the testing part of it. So function, we have a number object. We are looping. So there's the loop, we're looping through it. We're doing some math with the possible match, right? Target sum minus current number. And then there's some logic involved here. This is the logic that does all the magic. That says if the possible match, right? If the possible match in number, which is the object, right? Return possible match, which is the end result here of the equation. We're capturing that in a variable. Return that and the current number. Else, store that number in the object. Store the number and as a key and true, the Boolean value true as a value, as a value. Yes. And keep going. Do that over and over again until you get to the end of the array. If this doesn't happen, if it doesn't work, then we're going to return an empty array. Okay. Am I covering the code? I'm not. All right. So awesome. I'm going to test it. All right. So let's get into the testing. All right. So I'm going to run the code here. And I got raw output being red. I don't like red. But that's just okay. So I'm failing some stuff. Let me see if I run it. Test case failed. What am I failing? Am I passing anything here? Oh, I passed a few. All right, I got a minute left. Let's see. Empty array, of course. That's the easy one. Test case, can you let me hide myself actually. There you go. So I passed the empty array test cases. Those are easy because, all right, yeah, these are all empty arrays. So I'm testing this code and it looks like my logic, something's up. Something is up. I'm only capturing the empty array in these test cases. That's, passing. So I got that one covered, but that's the easy one because, if nothing works, then just, return me an empty array, right? So they're passing me an empty array. I'm returning an empty array. There's no match, so it passes. So we need to come back to this and see what's happening. Why is it not working? All right, so we have 43 seconds left. I'm gonna actually take the break now, take a water break, and come back and try to solve this coding challenge and see what's happening. I may have to remove this, use abstraction and kind of remove this into a sandbox and get some understanding what's happening. Maybe use the debugger keyword. We'll see how far we get after the break. So enjoy your break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. So I took the liberty in moving some of this code to a sandbox that I use. So I went ahead and did that on Replit. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. And I want to use, so I'm getting, it's not working for me. I should be getting a pair. Let's see, they want the pair should to be 11 minus 1 should equal 10. So if I run this and let's just say, let me see, there's no way I can tell. Here we go. So I moved it to Replit and I want to use this because like the debugger keyword works fine here. I'm used to using it here, so it helps me understand like the execution context for that function from line by line. And I want to see what's coming in and out because I may be expecting something. And then like the actual function that's running is spitting something else out as a result. So I like to use this. So let's start the timer, and that's working. I want to kind of run this in this environment and use the debugger keyword to help me understand what's happening. Okay, so here we go. What am I getting as a match though? Let's see. Let's log this out here. Console.log. Let's get this going. Right. And then I'm gonna log the empty array. Let's see. Let me call this something so I can point. Let's say this is the possible match here, and use some sort of indicator. Close this up a little bit. Does that help me? Okay. They want what's the possible match here? They want 11 and -1 as the pair, or -1. Is that happening? Possible match 9. Possible match -1. Let me get out this loop. Let me just do it here then. I don't think that's the right place. There you go. Okay, I'm getting some stuff printed out here. So I don't care for where's that possible match. I don't want this. Too much noise. Kill that noise. All right. There we go. That's a lot cleaner. All right. So here are the possible matches. 11 minus 1. And I'm not passing that. Am I out the for loop? I'm not out the for loop. Hold up. That doesn't make a difference. I'm still in. Yeah, I'm in the for loop. But would that work outside the for loop? So let me just write it out here. I don't think it'll capture it. I could be mistaken. No. Yeah, because I'm outside the for loop. So disregard that one. I'm outside the if statement, but I'm still in the for loop. I mean, I see the match here. Why is that failing? Why the hell is that failing? That's the match they want. And this is also kind of the match they want. Just there's no restriction on the order. Right? They said they don't care about the order. Write a function that takes a non-empty array. Let me see. In any order. So those two should be only one of them should be returned. Whichever one comes up first, I think. What am I missing here? Let me use so I'm gonna use the debugger keyword to help me. Right? Because I see the pair. Let me print out the object. Hold up. I'm not doing that yet. Console.log number. I'm gonna do that. Let me see. Okay. So there's the object. 2. What's 2? What did I want to put in the object again? I wanted to put what do I have now? The possible match. I wanted to put not the possible match. I wanted the numbers. Why am I getting possible matches? Right? This is the number. This is the number. This is the number. Not the possible match. What's 2? Where's the array? I need to see the array. There we go. I need the number, not the possible match. So what's 2? Where's 2 coming from? $10. $2, $4, $5, $7. What is that? I don't want that. I want the numbers. I want 3, 5, -4, and 8 to come in. Let me do a debugger here. And 1 here. And run this. I'm unclear as to why this. I don't know what 2 is. Right, so let's walk through it. Possible match, target sum, 10 minus 3 should be 7, right? That's the result. We get here, there's nothing in the object, so we push this inside the object. I mean, we add a property here to the object, which is referencing the object, and we want the number the number to be in the object, I'm getting possible match, which is the difference between 10 and 3, which is 7. Oh, it's sorting it. 7 is here. Oh, wow. The object sorts itself when you log it out. I thought it would be like 7 to come first. That's what it appears to be doing when I log it out. I initially thought that it would be the first property sitting in the key in the first property, but it's actually here. So it's capturing the results. I don't want the match. I want the number being stored here, right? I want these numbers here. In this case, that's the numbers in the array that lives here. So compare that to this. I need 3, 5, -4, all these in here as the keys. And I'm not getting that because I'm referencing the wrong thing. I just called that. So I want the number. No, I want current num. Right? Yeah. Current num. Run that. Actually, let me comment out these debuggers and I run that afterwards. Oh, now I'm not getting the object being printed. What happened? Let me refresh this. We're in the trenches, guys. This is a long one. All right, so why is the object not being printed? I'm about to run this debugger. Okay, we got something here. 3. Okay, it is okay. 5. Oh, here we go. Now we're adding it. Now it's working. Okay, don't know why the log outside didn't work. The log outside the for loop did not work, but now it's working. So I put the log inside the for loop, and you can see that these properties are being added to the object as we iterate over the current num. -4, possible match, 14 - 4, current number 8. We add it. We add the -4. Current number is 11. We add 11 to the object. Here's where the sorting happens. That's interesting. So objects automatically sort the keys if you're using integers as the key, as you append. Is that the right word? Append, add to an object. If you're using integers, it'll automatically sort it for you as you add new properties. So that's okay. So I'm gonna just add this debugger keyword to get some more perspective. Open up the console. Gonna move this over here. All right, let me close this log, this console here. Boom. All right, run it. All right, here we go. So I don't care about the threads. Call stack, I don't care about right now. I care about this section is the scope. There we go. All right, let me run this. So here's my next step in my debugging process is to use the actual word debugger keyword. So let's do that. Let me fix this. Ooh. Got some camera issues here. There we go. All right. All right, so I'm gonna run through this. Target sum is 10. Okay, current num is 3, which is the first integer of the array. All right, cool. Do the math. Possible match is 7. If possible match 7 is a number which is empty at this minute, this should return false. Bingo. You get false highlighted. If you highlight the some of the syntax in the while debugging, it kind of gives you the results for you. Very helpful. So we skipped this whole block because this is the first integer we're working with. So automatically we should come here. So initially I had a potential match here. So current number is 3. This object. Okay, so we're gonna add this to the number, which is the empty object. This should be undefined. Okay, so it's gonna evaluate that line and then add it to the object. Now we have true. Okay. Now we're adding the right key value pairs to the object, and maybe that's what's going on. If I run it again in the algo expert.io environment, it may work, it may not. So here are my logs. So I'm gonna run through this. Keep going. So the for loop still is gonna run through the whole array. Target sum is 10. So I have 3 and 10 in the object. 3 and 5. No, yeah. The number, sorry. We're pushing the number. See, that's how I confused myself in the beginning. And I added the wrong key value pair. So I'm gonna pay attention to this part. Okay. This is the part I want to pay attention to and correlate that with this if statement, right? Because the minute I have a match, then I want to return that match. I want to return that current num and the potential match. How do we get out of here? There we go. So let's just go through it. How much time do I have left? 10 minutes. All right. Boom. So I'm gonna run through this. So what's the possible match here? 2. Is 2 exists in the object? No. So we should add that. Next, let's go here. Possible match is -1, -1. I don't have -1 here. So we should skip this block and add it to the object. Next is, we done the math. 9 does not exist in this object. We skip that block. We add it to the object. Current num undefined. It's not been evaluated yet. Current num is -1. Is -1 in this object? No. Is it? Oh wait, it is. It's potential match 11. 11. Oh yeah. A potential match. What's target sum here at this point? 10 minus 1. It's 11. 10 -1 integer. So yes. So it's -1. It's 11. And here this is true. Okay. Now I'm seeing this in action. Potential match in number. We get a match which is here. Right? Now I want to return the potential match. 11 and current num, which is -1. And that's the pair I need to return. 11 -1. Okay. This should work then. All right. So I need to change what happened here versus page. All right, guys, we are getting close. Hopefully this is the answer. So I need to replace this part here with I had possible matched with current num. Okay. Where is it? So this part right now is not passing. Current num is the number I want to add as a key in the object. So yes. All right, cool. It passed. All right. All right. Awesome. Jesus Christ. That's awesome. So it worked. The debugger keyword is one of my favorite things to use. This thing actually passed. Yeah. It's giving me everything I need. Awesome. All right, guys. We passed the coding challenge. I don't know what else I need to do here. Do I need to submit it again? Everything is green. I like the color green. All right, everything is passing. Let's see, test case 8, I have 5 minutes left. All right, so that was the issue. I was adding the wrong key. I was adding the potential match instead of the current number, which, as we indicated here, right? I wanted to not, I don't care about these as far as tracking them. I care about these as far as tracking is concerned. Tracking those numbers in the object. So I reversed it by mistake. All right. So what's next? We've tested, we've got to a point where we've done the testing part. Okay, freehand. All right, this part is done. The testing part. Okay, the testing part is done. Now we need to get into the optimization piece. All right, so we'll cut this one short and we'll get into the optimization, which is identifying basically the runtime and the space complexity of this version of the solution. And yeah, after that, we'll be done after we identify those things, and then we'll close this up. This will be the last video. I'm extremely happy that we got to a solution. And I passed all the test cases, so this was pretty great and a good learning experience so far. So guys, enjoy your break, and we'll be right back with the optimization piece of this coding challenge. All right, guys, we're back. Let me play some music here. Working? Awesome. So we are now in the optimization part of the coding challenge, and I'm not gonna do this again as far as like try to get it to a better like time complexity or whatever. I think I'm done with this part, this coding challenge. I want to move on. But I learned a lot from here. So what I want to do is challenge myself to identify like, I think I kind of identified that earlier as far as like my target goal is to like not use two for loops. So not get it away from the initial solution that we had written with the two for loops, which got us to, let me get these up, a time complexity. So the two for loops, our first solution, which is this one here, got us, actually let me add the time, sorry. Let me set my time up here. Cool. The first solution got us to, how do I write this? Is it O of n squared? Which is what again? Let me look that up. What's the proper term? Is it polynomial? Let me go to my handy dandy documentation that I have from my bootcamp. Hopefully I still have access to this. I should. Yes, I do. So I'm going to reference this real quick. I like to go back here. They did a good job of explaining that. That was the advanced topics, I believe. So the first solution, all then, so we used two for loops. Well, that's loading up. So we used two for loop-de-loops. All right, so constant time, no. Logarithmic time, no, I'm not there yet. Linear time, close. Polynomial time, an algorithm with polynomial time. Let me blow this up. You guys can see that. Time complexity is one whose runtime would be the input size of n raised to some constant power. So is this? So n raised to the second power, or n raised to the third. Easiest way to understand polynomial time complexity is with nested loops. So this sounds like the first solution. An algorithm that requires two levels of looping over an input would be O(n). So this goes inside then? This 2 goes inside or outside? Is that the same thing? The following duplicates function has polynomial runtime complexity n squared. Exponential, what's the difference here? Algorithms with exponential time complexity O of 2 raised to the n have runtimes that grow rapidly with increase in input sizes. For input size of 2, an exponential time algorithm would take 2 raised to the 2 equals 4 time. All right, this is confusing me. All right. So the blue one is the one that we're looking at, I think. So I don't know if I have to write it like this or write it like that. Which one is it? I've seen it written like this before, but I feel like I also saw it written like that. So let me just look it up. There we go. Big O, log of n. But I think the right term is polynomial. That's for the first solution, because it says something here about nested loops. So I'm gonna go with that. But I want to see how other examples. I'm gonna look on Google, see if there's other examples on how to write it. Oh, let me just slap that in there. There you go. What are the images? Let's see. Constant, linear, quadratic. So quadratic is the other term. So it looks like this is the way to write it. This one here. Quadratic. That's the same thing. It looks like it's the same. Quadratic and polynomial, kind of the same term, I guess. Anyone watching this, if you know the exact term, which one you would choose, polynomial or quadratic? Quadratic, because it's kind of showing the same thing. Let me see if I can pull up another example somewhere. What's this? Polynomial runtime. O2. I don't know what's that about. Ah, what's this one here? So a good picture. Polynomial. Non-polynomial. Why are these two in the same buckets? All right, well, it's one or the other. I'm gonna have to do some more digging. Example, let me just do another query here. Example of a polynomial time complexity. Let me see. Ah, this one is O(n squared is the green one. That doesn't help. How about this one? Constant time, logarithmic, linear, linearithmic time, quadratic time, polynomial. So they're both here now. I guess maybe if there's like a third, like n to the third is quadratic. But oh yeah, n squared here is quadratic. O of n squared. Let's look at this one. No. How about this one here? It's saying quadratic now. Cubic is n to the third. Polynomial is n to the k. All right. So I'm gonna say quadratic, I guess. The first solution has a time complexity of a quadratic time complexity. So n squared, big O of n squared. You know, it says polynomial. There's no quadratic in this documentation. So I can't really, this is what I've been using lately. I know there's that cheat sheet as well. So maybe I should go there. Let me see. Let me see the cheat sheet for big O. Algorithms, empty. There we go. All right, let me remove my face because it's kind of in the way here. There we go. So big O cheat sheet. These are data structures which I am using an array. No, I'm not using an array. Using a hash table, I guess, when JavaScript is an object. I'm not using any sorting algorithms. What's all this about? This is all merchandise. These are all the sorting algorithms, which I have not gotten into yet. Hash table. I'm doing an insertion. This is time. Oh wait, I could use this for the space too. Oh, this could help me. But for the, you know, hash table, right? That's an object. Key value pairs. Keys and okay, and go back. I'm not accessing, so I'm here, guys, if you can see. Let me get a rectangle. So I am looking at this one right there. Do that one more time. All right, so I'm not doing access. I'm not searching. I am doing an insertion. Okay. But nothing here about for loops. But I'm gonna hold on to this page for the second solution. All right, that doesn't help. All right, so I'm gonna say big O. This is quadratic, big O and squared, because I'm using 2 for loops. The documentation references that, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I would like somebody's feedback on this to help me understand it a little more. For those who are experts at time complexity analysis, I'm still learning, but I want to move on to the second solution. All right, so I want to identify that. As far as, oh, actually, never mind. This is, so I need to figure out, what did I say that the time was, the space complexity for the first solution. So this is time. Complexity, am I spelling that right? No, I'm not. That's fine, whatever. Space. All right. So for the space here, let me put myself back on the screen. For the space complexity, I am working with one array. No, just one array. Even though I wrote it here, I didn't use this, I think. I have one array being used, some variables being used. How do I identify the space? I'm going back to that cheat sheet. Like that. So I'm using an array. I guess this cheat sheet is helpful. I'm not sorting anything. So I am at the array part. Am I accessing this array? Am I searching through the array? Inserting. I am inserting. I feel like I was inserting, right? On the 2 for loops. I'm not deleting. This is the worst case. Access, search, insertion, deletion. I'm inserting O of n. Worst case O of n. So this is space. Okay, so I just need to go to this bucket. So I guess the space is linear as well. No, just linear. So space is gonna be O of n. It looks like, based off this cheat sheet. I hope I'm reading this right. Again, someone please comment below, hit me up. Go to my Twitter, my Instagram, let me know, point that out for me, and please help me. Okay, so I'm gonna say the space complexity is O of n. I'm working off this cheat sheet. I have the array I'm using. This is all time complexity stuff, so I don't care about this as far as time, the space is concerned. I'm going with this one. All right, so I'm not using any sorting algorithms, so I'm gonna go with that. All right, second solution. Second solution. All right, let's put this at the top here. All right, so I'm using 1 for loop here. So what's the time complexity? So let's do that. So time. I think I'm spelling that right. Let me look that up. Time complexity. Yeah, I'm spelling it right. Good. All right. So time complexity. Complexity. Yeah. Okay. Is what? So I have one for loop. So that should be linear. Yes. So that's O of n as far as time is concerned. And the space, I'm gonna use my cheat sheet. Right, because so for the time is, I'm just using one for loop, so it should be log of n, where n being is the size of the input array, of the input, which is the array. So as that grows, it grows linearly. So I'm gonna try the space here. I'm gonna erase all this stuff here. I don't need this anymore. So space complexity, I'm not sorting anything. Am I sorting anything? I don't think so. I'm not using any of these sorts. I do have, what's it equivalent to a object here in the world of computer science? I usually hear that hash table is the same, right? I feel like it is. Because array stack queues are just other versions of arrays. Singly, doubly linked list has to do with arrays. Skip last, I have no idea what that is. Hash table looks like a good fit, so I'm gonna run to this here and work with this here and say that this hash table is right here. So I'm focusing on this one. Thank you, cheat sheet. So it looks like based off this cheat sheet, the space complexity is also linear. Because this hash table grows, and being the input of the hash table, of the object I'm using. See, that part I don't know. This is the part that I get confused on. So I need to understand, someone can help me. Comment below if you get to this part of the video, that you can answer this for me. And remember, I am adding timestamps for each section, so I will add a timestamp for this particular minute saying help me please. So please help me. Am I on the right track with the space and time complexities for these solutions? According to the cheat sheet, my second solution, which is this one, and pause the video here if you need to, the time complexity is linear, O of n, where n is the input size, the size of the input array. One for loop, it grows as it needs to, depending on the input that's coming in. The space, based off that cheat sheet, I'm using one object. It referenced as a hash table in the cheat sheet. And it's saying of that cheat sheet that the space complexity is linear as well, which if I try to make some sense of it, not being like fully knowledgeable to that extent, I'm going to say that it's equivalent to saying that it grows as much as the object is going to grow as much as, like, it's going to be linear. It grows as much as you put into the object, because I'm not like specifically picking one particular property. If I have to do something like that, if I have to like identify one specific property and grab one key, then that'll be like somewhere along the lines of constant time complexity, which that's time, but I think space as well. I'm not sure. I gotta go back to the cheat sheet, so don't quote me on that. So someone please help me with that second solution. Am I on track with the time and space? For solution one, which is up here, I come to the conclusion that the time complexity is quadratic. So I was trying to differentiate quadratic versus polynomial, so I need some help there as well. If anyone can like just give me some anecdotes as to like what's the difference. I'm gonna do some research for myself to figure out the difference on YouTube and look at other folks, other developers, and other engineers to see how far off base I am. But that's my conclusion. Because I'm using two for loops, so I have a time complexity of big O of n squared, which is quadratic time. For space, I think that's the part I did not identify, but I'm just using one array for the space, and I'm not like these variables. So I don't think we count variables. I'm not sure for space complexities, since these variables are going to be like blown away and like pretty much out of memory once the for loop is done and running. So it doesn't persist. So I don't know if that's, I don't think so. I don't think it's added to like the space. So I do have an array being referenced as a variable here as well. I'm not using this, so let me comment this out. I have couple of variables that are holding some array, so I don't know. So can someone help me here as well? Like, what's the space complexity on this? I'm gonna look at the cheat sheet one more time. So as an array, the worst case, it says linear. So is that the case? I'll write that down. Oh, here we go, I did. So I wrote it here. That's not working for whatever reason. Let me go. There you go. So is that correct for solution 1? Please let me know. All right, so as far as the optimization piece goes, this is as far as I'm gonna go with this one. So I'm kind of wrapping up both solutions, and like I'm revisiting the first solution as far as like the time and space complexity analysis. And now, right, so I got that down. I need some of your help identifying that, correcting it. Fact check me, please. I need to know, I need to understand, I need some help here. The second solution, which is the version I use, just using an object with the intent of not using a second for loop to get away from the quadratic time complexity of big O of n squared, and move it down to a time complexity of a linear time complexity. So I'm referencing this solution here, right? So I got it down to O of n, linear O of n, big O of n, and according to the docs, it's saying that the space, the worst case scenario is linear as well, and I need some help with that. Is that correct? We'll see. All right, so cool. I am gonna cut this Pomodoro short. I think this is it. I am not gonna try a third solution. I think 4 videos is enough for us to understand the process of how this works and everything, as far as like, you know, thinking this through. So I want to get to a recap next. I'm gonna hit the break now and then come back for a recap and wrap up to num sum the coding challenge on Algo Expert, and just talk about what's gonna happen next. Which coding challenge are we gonna tackle next? And yeah, so thank you for those who have watched this far, and enjoy your break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. Hope you enjoyed your break. So I wanted to take this time now to just kind of recap what we've done so far with this one particular coding challenge. We extended it out about 4 videos long, a couple hours of content produced for this, which is a lot. And want to just talk about again, kind of like beat down the approach that I've taken as far as this coding challenge is concerned, so you have a sense of what to expect in the future. So I'm using the Reacto problem solving technique, and let me see, do I have a picture of that? Let me just put it up here so you guys can see exactly what I am talking about. So here it is. So we're talking about using these steps to help with this coding challenge, 2 num sum. So you're gonna see in this video, in the last 3, I repeated these steps for each like attempt to solve each of the attempts I took to solve this coding challenge. So I use these as like indicators so that I can spend a Pomodoro on each of these letters, and in between then take a 5-minute break. So this is where it kind of stems from as far as like the kind of like path I'm taking as far as a problem solving technique. So thank you to those who actually created this. So this is what I'm using here. So what we did was basically go through 2 num sum. We've hit every step as far as like that problem solving technique is concerned, Reacto, and we also went through 2 solutions. We came up with a first solution using 2 for loops, and we wanted to optimize that to use 1 for loop and then use an object to store and keep track of different, different properties, different numbers, different keys, different values, with the intent of bringing down, increasing better performance is the right word, I guess, to have better performance. Yeah, so that was the objective, to just have a better time complexity with regards to the second challenge. So what's happening next? Basically, I want to continue. So next Monday, I'll be tackling validate subsequence as the new coding challenge for Monday. So that may take a couple of videos depending on how far we get and the total understanding of this particular problem. Okay. I also want to take this time to thank those who are actually watching these videos. I know they're kind of long in the tooth as far as the timing is concerned, but I tried to narrow that down using this Pomodoro technique. Today went a little further because I just wanted to wrap it up. I didn't want to take a 5th video to try to solve this problem here. So I would rather just compact that into this video. But I want to point out, if this thing decides to load, and I hit up and thank Joe.
All right, guys.
Let me load.
What's up?
Here.
All right, guys. What's up?
I wanted to highlight Joe's comment here, which he put a lot of time and effort into writing me this piece about I guess a piece of like language that I use in the video 3, and I made a mistake, so he pointed that out. So thank you, Joe, for pointing that out, as far as using a map that using the map allows constant time lookup for the keys and not the values. So I guess I was thinking about using some sort of like loop or map to loop to the object, which I kind of recall now. I was kind of talking about what should I use to do that. So thank you, Joe, for your feedback. It was truly appreciated, and I encourage others to actually comment and give me feedback as well as far as how I'm doing. I'm gonna try to do a good job of timestamping everything, so whenever you see a question that needs to be timestamped, whenever I have a question, I'm going to timestamp it, and I'm gonna try to get better at doing that more and more. Try to like include you guys into that. Let me set the timer for 5 minutes here, because I don't want to go any longer than 5 minutes. Actually, you know what, I just put 25. I'm not gonna take that long. So yeah, so thank you, Joe, for providing me with great feedback there. I truly appreciate it. So next steps, basically, like I mentioned, I will be going over validate subsequence. On Friday, I will be taking on my first coding challenge on Code War, so look out for that. Please stay tuned. I will go live 11 a.m. Mondays and Fridays. In the very near future, I will be going live on Wednesdays as well, so I'll increase to Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Wednesday is going to be a wild card day, and what I mean by that, basically, I want to use that time to actually spend building things or going through a tutorial live. So that's stream is going to be more about like just you looking at me or we working together. If you haven't done anything with as an example, free code camp, if you're trying to achieve one of those certificates, I'm going to be actually working on free code camp. Now that I mentioned it, on Wednesdays I'm going to try to achieve one of the, I think the second or the first certificate. I'm in the final phases of the first certificate because I've been in and out, but I'll be working on that on Wednesdays. So I look out for that on my social media when I decide to, put that out there on Wednesdays. But with regards to algoexpert.io, please look out for Mondays at 11 a.m. for the next episode on Live Code with Getroman. Working on this second coding challenge here. So we're 1% done on Algo Expert. We're getting there. It's a good start. Speaking of social media, please follow me on Built by Getroman. I am producing some content on here that's meant to motivate and educate as well, you and myself as well. So I'm putting out stuff like Tip of the Week, where I talk about CSS preload and how not to get your render assets blocked, and I put a lot of cool images and content and text on here to stimulate the mind and the soul, because I know coding could get pretty difficult and overwhelming. As you can see, we spent 3 hours and 12 minutes on this one problem. So that's not adding the other videos. So please like, subscribe to my Instagram, like my Instagram page, follow me. But here's some examples of what I put out. I like to put out some updates here as well, as like upcoming videos, when I'm going live, etc., etc. Also follow me on Twitter. Actually, let me go back. Built by Getroman is my Instagram handle. Please give that a like and follow. My Twitter is Getroman _dev. For those who are on the Twitter platform, please like me there, follow me there. I'll put the same content I do on Instagram on Twitter. So please give me a shout out there, as well as I post new projects that I'm working on and new updates to my stream. Very soon I will be creating a Discord channel for my goal is to like create a community around Built by Getroman, and I'm targeting a lot of code newbies, and just to have a place to talk and be inspired from each other and share projects, just to keep us going during this time. So during these crazy times, and that's about it, guys. So yeah, thank you for watching. I appreciate you hanging on this long. Subscribe to my channel, please like it, hit the bell for notifications for any upcoming videos. Please subscribe, tell your friends about this channel as I hunt for this role to become a software engineer, and I'm documenting this process for me to look back on as inspiration to keep telling myself and other people to keep going. So my name is Eddie Beto. This is Built by Getroman, a channel dedicated to navigating aspiring software engineers to become aspiring code newbies to become software engineers. So appreciate your time. Do yourself a favor. Keep going, keep coding, and never stop building. Thank you, guys. Peace.